Aloha and mahalo for joining me, YouTube. I have got a hell of a story and an update for you. Update on my trip to Sundance Film Festival 2019 on Saturday, January 26th. Spur of the moment decision to go, so it was not planned out in the least, and I definitely paid the price for it. However, I consider it a successful recon for Sundance Film Festival 2020. Anyways, so I wasn't going to go because it's roughly 300 miles from here, which is a little bit further than the distance to Denver. And really, Denver is a full day trip, especially if you're going to go there and back in the same day. It's like half your day literally is going to be on the road. So this was even further, and I invited a couple friends of mine, a guy that's part of a local hip-hop act. I think their name's Sinful now. They used to be the UIK, the Undergrounds Infamous Killers. He goes by JD Bundy. He and some other friends of mine joined me at Woody Creek Tavern a few years back. We have a beer.
Say something profound. I'll say something profound. You can't squeeze chalk from a watermelon.
That was true, but not that profound.
I just wet myself.
And so I thought, why the hell not? This is going to be a true Gonzo-style adventure, which of course is a reference to Gonzo journalism. The idea being that you immerse yourself, you inject yourself as deeply into the story as you can in order to truly write accurately about it, honestly about it. You're not acting as a lens from the outside looking in, you are a part of the story. And so the goal was to go up there. I don't have any money, so I wasn't going to be able to buy any tickets, stay in a hotel, do anything like that. In fact, it turned out I couldn't even afford parking, but we'll get to that. The goal was to do Sundance as a day trip from Grand Junction, Colorado to Park City, Utah in one day for under 50 bucks. Now, I'm happy to tell you I succeeded. I did it for roughly 50 bucks. A little bit under, I think. I'll put it on the screen. I'll tell you, put it on the screen. However, if I was going to do it right, it would have come out to just about 100 because of parking. But like I said, we'll get there. JD Bundy said he was going to try, couldn't find a babysitter, I'm guessing because he never got back to me, and I had to leave town early to make this a day, so 6:30 rolls around, I'm ready to go. I haven't heard from him, so I hop down to Starbucks, I grab a coffee, I pull over and take a quick selfie, post it up on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram just to announce to Legion M and various other people that I am on my way to Sundance, on my way to Park City. And then I hit the road. Now, 6:30 in the morning, it was, I think, like 28 degrees here, and there was frost on the windows, so it was cold. And as I left Colorado, there was the most beautiful sunset as I passed the "You're leaving Colorado" sign and "Welcome to Utah," and I kicked myself for not pulling over to get a picture of those signs with the sunset. But about 2 or 3 miles later, I absolutely couldn't resist anymore, so I pulled over, snapped some photos of the sunset, and of course, any photos of extreme light conditions like a sunset or sunrise taken with an iPhone don't turn out that well, right? At least not with my skill level. So I'll show you those pictures right here, but they're not really anything that special. The sunset was, however, so if you weren't there, I'm sorry. You could have been. Anyways, so what ended up happening is I packed the drone up, headed up there by myself, 6:30 in the morning, 28 degrees, frost on the windows, excellent sunset, and I'm off to Park City. Now, on the way up there, I had an audiobook that was about halfway finished, 1984 by George Orwell. So on the way there, I finished 1984, which had me in a certain watch out for the police state sort of mentality, if you will. And in Park City, Utah, I don't know if anybody watching has ever been to Sundance Film Festival, but security is tight. There are police everywhere. I imagine there's also some undercover federal agents out there wandering around. But what you notice more than anything is the private security. Man, these guys get paid to frown. There was one guy manning a door, and there's a lot of foot traffic, by the way. If you went just by the photos posted by Legion M, which I was going on before I went, you would assume that it's actually a pretty small event because, and I justified it in my head because it's a small town, it makes sense, right? No. It is filled wall to wall with people and curb to curb with cars. You'll see every photo I show you, every video, a third of the shot is monopolized by vehicles, which sucks, of course, but what are you gonna do? Now, I rolled in to Park City at roughly noon, okay, which was making pretty good time. However, I failed to account for parking. Now, somewhere in the back of my brain, I vaguely remember having a Twitter conversation with a girl last year, a member of the Legion, who said this very same thing and warned me. And of course, like a moron, I completely expunged that lesson and headed up there with no parking plan, which bit me in the ass. I also had no cash on hand. It would have been okay had I had cash in my pocket, but I didn't. So you get there and you find out the closest places to park, which would include China Bridge Garage, and I don't know what the names of the other ones are, but there's a few parking garages there. $50 a day, except China Bridge was $40 a day, and that was the cheapest I saw. So word of the wise, China Bridge Garage, $10 a day cheaper for parking. And it was literally like a block and a half from the Egyptian Theater and the Red Banjo Pizza, which was the Pizza Hut Legion M Lounge. Otherwise, you'll end up having to do what I did after I drove around for 2 hours trying to find parking. And since there's literally a cop on every curb, every corner, and in between, and in the alleys hanging out around bonfires, which we'll get to, you don't want to park illegally. You won't have a car if you do. So what I ended up doing was park and ride at Ecker Hill. Ecker Hill is roughly 13 miles from Park City, from Main Street, which is where all the action is. Okay. After driving around for 2 hours looking for parking, driving 13 miles away to find a park and ride felt a little bit like surrender. And it hit me right then and there that I had to make some serious choices. We're talking about lugging the drone around on foot around Park City for hours until I find a place to get the drone up. Now, I researched it beforehand. Air Map shows all the airspace in Park City is open to Part 107 pilots, and even the government of Park City. What am I trying to say, goddamn? Park City government said on their website that they don't have any additional rules and regulations managing drones above and beyond what the FAA does. However, they warned you that one of the FAA's rules is that you cannot fly overhead of people. And like I said, because it's wall to wall with people, there's literally nowhere in Park City that you can do that unless you have access to a balcony or roof of one of the buildings, because of course you can fly over top of the buildings and get shots all day long. Now, I decided I wasn't going to lug the drone around. Oh, shit. I wasn't going to lug the drone around, and that was a tough decision because that was like 50% of my justification for this being a work trip, because I am writing the miles off. I had to get some work done up there, and that was going to be the majority of it, and already we were cannexing it. I was cannexing the drone ops. It was cool. It was very, very cool. Mind you, I had no money to spend, so I didn't even stop anywhere for a beer. If I was gonna do it over, I would, A, bring somebody with me, because you can't do Sundance by yourself, not the way I wanted to do it. We'll get to that too, but, so I needed a partner in crime, a camera crew, if you will, and I didn't have it, so I just was winging it. Like I said, I was on the ground in Park City about 2 hours after getting there, so maybe in that bus ride, so about 2:30. And I knew I had to leave by 7 p.m. at the latest, because it was my wife's last night off, and I wanted to have some drinks with her. So this was absolutely just a day trip. There was no other option. So, Legion M Lounge, I get up to finally find the Egyptian Theater, which was cool to see after only having ever seen it on Legion M's Instagram page. That was awesome. But the bouncer was, I guess the downstairs area was a Getty photo studio this year. Mind you, I am a Getty contributor, but I'm certain I don't rise to that level of access. And I know that because I was wearing Legion M gear and the bouncer was not even all that friendly, honestly. He said that the Legion M stuff didn't start till 4:30, and so they gave me about 2 hours. And you gotta understand, I'm an introvert. That's why I come out here to film these things, right? Does that make sense? All right. So it was hard enough walking around for 2 hours with all those people, all those cops. I might as well mention the cops at this point. I was walking through one of the back walkways, alleyways, whatever, and I found this bonfire, really cool open bonfire. The flames 3 or 4 feet tall. You could probably huddle about 20 people around it. But instead, there were 5 police officers staying warm. One of the reasons I needed to bring a partner in crime is because I tend to talk myself out of things. And so as I stood there, first of all, I approached the Legion M Lounge like 3 times, walked past 3 times trying to decide whether or not I was actually going to do this and go inside and participate with other people where there's cameras and yada yada yada. Right? So I'm standing there in line, finally decide on my 3rd approach, let's do this. Get in line, and as I'm standing there, I'm pretty sure I saw Mia Jovovich come out of the Legion M Lounge, which was, during that time, the Getty photo studio. And now, there had been a couple of star sightings earlier as I was walking around, but you'd be walking along, dodging people, and then all of a sudden you hear, "Ah!" a scream or a wail, and then it was like the floodgates, just people surrounding that spot. Like a wall of people, cameras up in the air. Walking around, but they were so like non-climatic, non-events really.
Oh, they wasn't alive. He's already left. He already left.
That happened 2 or 3 times. I got a video. I have no idea who it was. Didn't see him. Couldn't see him. I heard names mumbled and rumored like Zach Galifianakis and Zac Efron. Notice how they're both Zachs. I think a little bit of groupthink was going on there, but anyways. When Mia Jovovich came out of the Getty studio, like nobody did anything. Nobody made a sound. This blew my mind, people. Have you not seen Cuffs? Have you not seen The Fifth Element? Have you not seen Resident Evil? What the hell is wrong with you? Mia, I'm sorry. I was going to yell myself, but I'm 40 years old. It just didn't feel right. But I saw you. Don't worry, we saw you. After she left, I'm standing in the line up there for about 40 minutes. Water's dripping on my head from above. So I didn't make it in. Let's just stop it right there. I didn't make it into the lounge after driving all that way. I walked around. I got a lot of really good photos and some video. Even then, I fell short. And I'll get to that too. But bottom line is, I made it to Park City. Got the work trip in because I got photos of material on my stock sites and yada yada yada. So it was a work trip, but no drone footage. I didn't get to meet Paul or Jeff or Terry or Jeff. Oh yeah, I already said Jeff. Okay, anyways, you get the point. So, all right, I had mentioned that you can't do it alone. You can't do Sundance alone. And I said that I fell short on my plans for video, handheld video. Okay, now, a couple days before I went up there, my wife and I started watching Conan. Is it Conan Without Borders? Conan O'Brien Without Borders? Anyways, it's Conan O'Brien going to different countries. And I had this bit worked up in my head that, for me, as I saw it going down, it was hilarious. Aggressive comedic approach, really. Like you act clueless, you have a ridiculous question, and the whole point is to elicit a funny response. Okay, well, here's the thing. I'm active on Twitter. I follow John Cusack. I'm a John Cusack fan, always have been. Grosse Point Blank is one of my all-time favorite movies. The fight scene in there in the high school at the reunion, in my opinion, as a former martial artist, I was a green belt in Taekwondo, which is pretty low, but I'm also ex-Navy. I was on VBSS, I was a Navy cop, so I've had the hand-to-hand unarmed personal protection, unarmed self-defense training. not saying I'm good at it or bad at it, but my point is I was impressed by that fight scene because it was realistic. It was brutal. There's two hitmen trying to kill each other. They weren't doing wheel kicks and flying around houses. They were trying to kill each other, and that's what they did. So I sent John Cusack a tweet months ago and just mentioned that I liked that fight scene. Well, this son of a bitch blocked me. Okay, so I don't know if he was like ashamed of that fight scene and thought I was mocking him, or if he doesn't like fans. Maybe I would seem too obsequious. I don't know. Also, I've heard rumors that he's on a meth binge right now, so who knows? But he blocked me. All right, so this bit was really, it's neither here nor there. It's just a gag. It was for fun. But I was walking around and approaching people at random that I don't know, obviously, and asking them, hey, excuse me, do you know why John Cusack blocked me on Twitter?
Been in Park City for about 3 hours, 2 hours looking for parking. Gave up and took the parking ride. There's tons of people here and nobody has the answer to my question. Hey, do you know why John Cusack blocked me on Twitter?
What the fuck, John Cusack?
Yeah,
what a dick.
I know.
Come on, brother.
Does anybody know why John Cusack blocked me on Twitter? I'm looking for answers.
Right, and in my head, I was gonna get some quizzical looks and maybe some feeble attempts at explaining it or justifying it.
Do you know why John Cusack blocked me on Twitter? No?
Or maybe people mocking him or even mocking me, like, well, have you looked in the mirror? You know, nothing. Only thing I got were stares of death. In fact, two of the guys I stopped, I'm pretty sure were personal security for somebody, because they like did the whole hand on my waist thing and kind of squared off and put some distance between us and gave me that I'm gonna bite your head off look. And I was like, well, fuck, I don't want to have to kill you just because I asked you a question.
Excuse me, man. Do you guys know why John Cusack blocked me on Twitter? No?
So I walked on. Wow, yeah, so long story short, this bit did not go over. There is no such thing as a sense of humor at Sundance. Now, it was me by myself with just the phone, no camera rig, not even a gimbal, no camera crew, no sound. So I get it. I just look like a fucking moron. And when you're at Sundance, you're focusing on everything else. Now, this might sound stupid, but I was banking a little bit on people misidentifying me as my younger brother, Jason Momoa. Because obviously he has borrowed his look from me and his style, and I appreciate that. So I was anticipating a little bit of mistaken identity in my favor. Well, that did not happen. These people did not like my bit. In fact, it got so bad, I'll show you the reactions I did capture, but I stopped filming almost immediately. And I even felt so bad, so concerned about the looks I was getting, that I pretended to be, because I had this head on over my ear. You couldn't tell if I had an earpiece or not. Because everybody there had earpieces. So I just tried to play this bit off by saying under my breath, wow, I'm getting some serious looks here. I think your little prank has backfired.
Does anybody know where John Cusack is? Anybody know where John Cusack is? I'm getting a lot of looks. Your prank is kind of backfiring.
And then I stopped filming, pocketed my phone, and sped up and got the hell out of there. All right, so anyways, the next bit was going to be, because in my head I saw the Conan O'Brien bit going over much better, and I assumed that I would have some cachet at this point, right? People would be like, hey, that's that guy that's filming that. So I was going to ask if anybody would lend me $300 to buy Final Cut Pro. It's a film festival. I assumed there would be some independent artists there that would find that funny and might even ask for my Bitcoin address or some shit like that, you know? No. After the Conan bit almost got me murdered by personal security, I decided, let's Canex that shit. Let's just walk around and enjoy this. And long story short, pretty much ended the day at that point, right? Because I decided not to go in the lounge, didn't get to fly the drone, wasted most of my on-the-ground time looking for parking. And so, knowing that I had a family to get back to, I made a command decision and called a Canex. And that's what happened. Oh my God, I'm gonna die here. Or worse, my equipment's gonna die here. Okay. Oh, hey, yeah, about the drone. So, I didn't get the drone up, but that might be a little bit of a silver lining. So, even though I researched it ahead of time, the airspace is open, the city itself had no particular regulations or rules, there was a drone in the air while I was standing in line for the Legion M Lounge. It was a big one. It was much bigger than mine. I got a Mavic Air. This was like a Inspire. It looked hefty. It had the camera itself probably was as big as mine. And so at that point, had I parked at China Bridge, lugging the drone around would not have been an issue because I could have just gone back and put it back in the car and locked it up and then gone and had my fun. But 13 miles away, there was no going back. So had to take a picture of the drone that was in the air to prove to myself somebody else wasn't as stupid as I was and did get their drone up, so that next year there are no excuses. But as I snapped a photo and walk away, I walk past one of the trillions of police officers out there, and I hear him talking to somebody about that drone, and he says, "Don't worry." Wait, let me do this right. He says, "Don't worry, it'll be down soon." And I'm thinking, well, not unless you want to get your ass sued, because he appears to be following the FAA's regulations, and I think unless he's a complete idiot, he's only had the balls to put the drone up in the air at Sundance Film Festival because he's a Part 107 pilot. He knows what he's doing. So, yeah, those police might have been taking an aggressive stance against drones. However, if they assault that drone in any way, it would be the same as assaulting a passenger airline, because a passenger plane, because it's regulated by the same federal agency under the same transportation laws. So, federally regulated aviation airframe, registered and regulated by the FAA. So, unless you feel like you're the kind of guy that would go down to the airport and take pot shots at the local Cessnas, I wouldn't be taking any kind of shot at drones either. That's maybe just my opinion, but it is what it is. So the one thing you need to be aware of, holy shit, people. Worst, scariest driving experience I have ever survived, Salt Lake City after dark. Yeah, so made the round trip drive, got tons of on-the-ground footage, had some cool experiences, you know, listening to people chit-chat and talk about Sundance. Learned the layout, so I know where things are now. I know where the parking rides are. I know where the parking garages are. I know where some pubs are I want to visit. So the stage is set for 2020, people. Now, if you're somebody I know, you know, some of the local people I work with and I've been talking about making videos with, they're musicians, artists of any kind, even people that are just interested. I plan on making a real event out of this in 2020. And so when Mad Squid Productions goes up to Park City next year, it's going to be with intent and it's going to be with cause. And we are going to paint the town red and capture gigabytes, maybe terabytes of data. And it's going to be a blast. So, aloha and mahalo for watching. I'm glad I survived, and I'm looking forward to taking some of you with me next year. Sundance Film Festival 2020, people. Thank you, Legion M for hosting the lounge. Thank you for making all this shit possible for people like me who are just regular Joes with an affinity for filmmaking, right? You guys make people like me feel like we're actually doing it.
Friday. I don't know if you've seen, we've gotten some really cool art
Very cool.
like the one by
the
Mad
drone
Squid.
one. Yeah, Mad Squid was
about the
amazing.
Legion M space program.
I love that.
It was really cool, and I think that John
Bring it on.
Biscardi has. Anyway,
I heard Elon Musk actually brought it up at a press conference.
did he really?
Yeah, he was like, you
His
know,
biggest competition.
he's like, yeah, well, we have a new competitor, you know, in the field, upstart Legion M, and we're
That's
really
right.
worried about them. So that's good.
That's right.
Mad Squid, well done.
Yes.
And that's why we're so loyal. So thank you, Legion M. Thank you, members of the Legion. Tell your friends, tell your family that if they're not in the Legion, they are doing it wrong. Like I was saying, aloha and mahalo for watching. Fair winds and following seas, and happy flying.